The year is 1944. World War II rages on. Yet amidst the chaos, a different kind of battle is taking shape. In the Mount Washington Hotel, nestled in the tranquil Bretton Woods of New Hampshire, delegates from 44 allied nations gather. Their mission: to forge a new global financial order from the ashes of war. This pivotal conference gave birth to the Bretton Woods system, a system that would define the post-war economic landscape. A system that would crown the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. Decades later, the echoes of Bretton Woods reverberate. The global financial system, however, stands at a crossroads. The unparalleled dominance of the US dollar is being challenged. Emerging economies led by the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are asserting their growing influence. They call for a more multipolar world, one where the reins of financial power are more evenly distributed. The BRICS nations, with their vast populations and burgeoning economies, are no longer content with the existing order. They seek greater representation, greater influence, and a system that reflects the realities of a changing world. This push for reform, for a new financial architecture, raises profound questions about the future of global finance. Is the world witnessing the twilight of the dollar's reign? Are we on the cusp of a new Bretton Woods moment, one that will redefine the global financial order for decades to come? The answers to these questions have profound implications, not only for the global economy, but also for geopolitics, international relations, and the balance of power in the 21st century. As the world grapples with these tectonic shifts, one thing is clear: the future of global finance hangs in the balance. The decisions made today will determine the shape of the global economy for generations to come. The Bretton Woods Agreement, reached in the shadow of war, aimed to create a stable and prosperous global economy. It established the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, institutions that would play a pivotal role in shaping the post-war financial order. Under this system, currencies were pegged to the US dollar, which in turn was convertible to gold at a fixed rate. This arrangement effectively established the dollar as the world's reserve currency, cementing America's economic dominance on the global stage. The Bretton Woods system ushered in an era of unprecedented economic growth and stability. The post-war decades saw a remarkable expansion of global trade and investment. The US dollar, backed by the world's largest and most dynamic economy, became the linchpin of this new order. It served as the primary currency for international transactions, the principal reserve asset held by central banks, and the benchmark for pricing commodities like oil. This dollar-centric system facilitated global trade, provided stability, and fueled economic growth. However, the seeds of change were sown within the very system that seemed so immutable. The Bretton Woods system, while successful, was not without its flaws. It relied heavily on the United States' ability and willingness to maintain the dollar's value and provide liquidity to the global economy. As the 20th century drew to a close, the system faced growing strains. The United States, grappling with inflation and a growing trade deficit, decided to abandon the gold standard in 1971, effectively ending the Bretton Woods system as it was originally conceived. While the fixed exchange rate system crumbled, the dollar's dominance persisted. It continued to reign supreme in international finance, reflecting the United States' enduring economic, political, and military might. But the cracks in the foundation had begun to appear. The stage was set for new actors, new ideas, and a new chapter in the ever-evolving saga of global finance. The turn of the 21st century brought with it a confluence of factors that began to chip away at the dollar's seemingly unshakable dominance. The rise of emerging economies, particularly those of the BRICS nations, fundamentally altered the global economic landscape. These rapidly growing economies, with their vast populations and insatiable appetite for resources, demanded a greater say in the global financial system. They questioned the fairness and equity of a system seemingly designed to perpetuate the hegemony of the West, particularly the United States. The 2008 global financial crisis further exposed the vulnerabilities of a dollar-centric system. The crisis, originating in the United States, sent shockwaves through the global economy. It highlighted the inherent risks associated with having a single national currency serve as the bedrock of global finance. The crisis also eroded trust in the United States' ability to effectively manage its own economy, let alone steer the global financial ship. The growing use of financial sanctions by the United States as a tool of foreign policy added another layer of concern. Countries found themselves increasingly wary of becoming entangled in a system where their access to vital financial resources could be restricted due to political considerations. The weaponization of the dollar, as some critics called it, created a powerful incentive for nations to seek alternative financial arrangements, ones less susceptible to the whims of US foreign policy. The dissatisfaction with the existing order was palpable. The calls for reform, for a more equitable and multipolar system, grew louder. The BRICS nations, emboldened by their growing economic clout and united by a shared desire for a new financial architecture, emerged as the leading voices of change. Their quest for a new order, one that reflects the realities of a shifting global balance of power, has the potential to reshape the contours of global finance in the 21st century. The BRICS nations, diverse in histories and cultures, found common ground in their dissatisfaction with the global financial order. They challenged the dollar's supremacy, advocating for a multipolar financial system. Representing a significant portion of the world's population and economy, they aimed to reshape the rules. Their quest was driven by a desire for greater representation in institutions like the IMF and World Bank. They argued the quota system unfairly favored developed countries. They also sought to reduce reliance on the US dollar and explore alternative reserve currencies. Lastly, they championed a more equitable global financial system, promoting sustainable development. The BRICS bloc's influence signals a shift in the geopolitical landscape, aiming to reshape global finance for the 21st century. The BRICS nations did not limit themselves to critiquing the existing global financial order. They proposed a new financial architecture to challenge the US dollar's hegemony. A significant initiative was the creation of the New Development Bank, or NDB. Established in 2014, the NDB mobilizes resources for infrastructure and sustainable development. Another key component is the Contingent Reserve Arrangement, or CRA. Established in 2015, the CRA provides a safety net for short-term balance of payments pressures. BRICS also explores measures to reduce dependence on the US dollar. These include currency swap agreements and local currency settlement mechanisms. BRICS's initiatives aim to reshape global financial flows and promote alternatives to the dollar-centric system. The rise of the BRICS bloc and their call for a new financial order has inevitably raised questions about the future of the Bretton Woods institutions, the IMF and the World Bank. These institutions, created in the aftermath of World War II, have played a pivotal role in shaping the global financial landscape for over 7 decades. However, they have also faced criticism, particularly from developing countries, for their governance structures, lending practices, and perceived bias towards Western interests. The BRICS nations, while advocating for a new financial architecture, have not called for the outright abolition of the IMF and World Bank. Instead, they have pushed for comprehensive reforms aimed at making these institutions more representative, responsive, and accountable to the needs of developing countries. They have demanded greater voting power for emerging economies, a more transparent and equitable allocation of resources, and a shift in focus towards development priorities that reflect the concerns of the Global South. The IMF and World Bank, recognizing the shifting global landscape and the growing clout of the BRICS nations, have undertaken some reforms in recent years. These include modest quota adjustments to increase the voting power of emerging economies and efforts to enhance the diversity of their staff and leadership. However, many critics argue that these reforms have been too little, too late. They contend that more fundamental changes are needed to address the systemic imbalances and power asymmetries that continue to plague these institutions. The future of the IMF and World Bank remains uncertain. Will they embrace more substantial reforms and adapt to the demands of a multipolar world? Or will they cling to the status quo, risking irrelevance as new institutions like the NDB gain traction and legitimacy? The answer to this question will depend on the willingness of both developed and developing countries to engage in constructive dialogue, bridge their differences, and forge a new consensus on the future of global financial governance. The future of the global financial system is uncertain. But one thing is clear: the world is demanding a more equitable and sustainable model. The BRICS challenge is forcing us to rethink the way we do business. Like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis on global economic trends. Share your thoughts in the comments. What kind of financial system do you want to see in the future?